Warning, this show may contain some crude humor and mild swearing. Listener discretion is advised. The show was produced by Geek Happy Network, creators of the very best in audible oracle entertainment. In other words, podcasts. If you enjoy listening to Smorgasbord, remember to subscribe to the show in Spotify or on your favorite podcast app. Remember to leave a review. We'd love to hear your thoughts. This is Smorgasbord!
Welcome to Smorgasbord, a show where we explore the rituals, myths, and all things strange about the world of food.
Yummo. Sorry, I'm hungry.
I'm Mick, and
I'm Angel.
over there is that.
We just sat through a lot of technical difficulties trying to record this.
30 minutes of sorting through technology.
Plus a failed recording of this exact episode before.
Yeah, because of the exact problem that we were trying to solve. So I'm sorry, Mike. We are not able to use our recording with you.
Yeah, so we lost a guest.
Yeah, our guest, Mike Nevada from the Monster Slayer's Guide to Slaying Monsters.
He's a blood aficionado?
Yeah, we wanted to have a special guest for this episode because we're doing an episode on blood and eating blood, and we figured a monster slayer would know the most about
blood.
Yeah. But unfortunately, that recording just went down the drain.
There's a blood curse.
Yeah. We've solved the curse.
Well, okay, the first part of the curse today was me going to the wrong place. We set a time to record, but we didn't set a place.
Yep. And then the second part is where I didn't set the right settings for the recording.
And yeah.
It's really just mostly my fault.
Yeah, blame everything on Mick.
Yeah.
Wasn't me. I'm perfect in every way.
Yeah, sure. Anyway, today we're talking about blood and how humans have eaten various kinds of blood. I don't know what the history of this was again. Like, why did we think about doing blood? I think it was your idea.
I'm just a morbid person.
Yeah.
I guess.
Oh, you know what it was? We ate at the Filipino restaurant and we're talking about that Dinuguan thing, which is like a Filipino blood meal thing.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Anyway.
We didn't end up eating it, though.
No. They didn't have it in the restaurant, which sucked.
No.
But
I don't know if I would have eaten it, actually.
Actually, I think next time we just won't tell you.
Okay.
I think it's pretty good if you don't know what it is.
That's what they did to me with lamb.
Yeah.
And I hated it.
Which I think is true for a lot of Filipinos. Wait, you hated the lamb?
I don't like lamb.
Oh. So you knew it was lamb?
It's funny tasting beef. Like not good.
Interesting.
Not good beef. Maybe it wasn't cooked right.
Maybe. Yeah. Based on what we found out about blood is there are thousands of people in the United States who actually drink blood for various reasons. Some say because the oxygen and iron-enriched substance gives them the energy. In fact, there was in 2011 we found this article about this 19-year-old Texan named Lyle Bensley who broke into a woman's apartment and bit her on the neck for blood.
That's I hope he was arrested.
Oh, he definitely was. Yeah.
Good.
I don't think blood for health reasons was not the reason. I think.
Yeah, no. I'm pretty sure you can buy pig's blood at like a butcher's.
Yeah, if you wanted that kind of blood. But it turns out there is this whole group called modern vampires now who try to get their sustenance from blood or human blood. And it's a whole thing now. Not now, but it's a whole thing where it's all regular. There's regulatory bodies or whatever that manage and take care of having people drink human blood and stuff like that. In the States, they usually give you like incisions where they cut the blood out from a person and then people just consume it. So you could actually...
Can you volunteer as like a donor?
Yeah, so you're like
livestock?
Exactly. So there's like a blood donor who will allow them to have their blood drained from them medically. But it's not as fun as...
just biting into a person.
Yeah. The non-modern vampires had it good, where they could just bite into people. Today's modern vampires have medically trained personnel who perform the procedure.
That sounds more sanitary.
It is super sanitary. The donors have to first consent to it, obviously, and then also provide a health certificate that says that they don't have any blood-borne diseases.
But those are the spicy parts.
Yeah, I guess not anymore.
I mean, if you're a vampire and you're immortal,
yeah,
what do you care if it's diseased? Just saying.
Maybe they could live forever, but if they get sick, they die.
Oh,
you know?
That's not called living forever.
Yeah, it's different. Yeah, even though it's all kind of weird and medical, it's still a whole ritual for these modern vampires, and they're about thousands, like we mentioned, around the world from different ages, classes, races, and genders. So it's a thing, I guess, that people.
It sounds like a kinky thing.
It might
to
be
me.
a thing. I don't know. I really don't. I'm skeptical that they do it for health.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. There's a lot of people that are gluten-free and they don't actually have a gluten sensitivity.
Right. They have a sensitivity to health articles on the internet.
Oh, yes.
They see an article and they're like,
This
yes,
must be true.
that must be true. Even though last week it said it's not true.
Right?
Yeah.
So they bought into the blood for health.
Yeah.
And I honestly think it's just a vampire kink.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, there is apparently some health into it, but that we'll talk about a little bit today. So today we'll talk more about the health effects of eating blood, the different kinds of blood meals around the world, and maybe some myths and mythologies of where this history came in. Which, spoilers, it's not actually as interesting as I thought it would be. I thought there'd be this whole like mythology about human blood and ritual sacrifices and vampires. And
that's what I thought when I suggested we do
Yeah.
a blood episode.
turned out it's just mostly it was convenient.
It's like the poor man's meal.
Yeah. So when it comes to the health effects of blood, blood as it exists inside of us is about 78% liquid. So when it dries up, it consists of mostly protein, about 90+% protein, and about only 1% carbohydrates.
Oh, it's low carb.
Yeah, and for those that drink blood for health, it really is shown that blood is terribly low in minerals and vitamins. So it's not really it's not your multivitamins. It's not gonna replace your Centrum
You don't
C or
have
whatever.
you don't have Flintstones vitamins
No,
running in your
yeah.
veins.
You don't. Can't replace your Flintstones vitamins, so you could continue your childhood
Dreams of.
dreams of eating Flintstones as an adult.
I mean,
I don't know.
when I was a
What?
kid, I definitely ate more than one a day
Yeah,
because they were yummy.
Only when
And
I was
then
a kid.
then I realized like you can get vitamin poisoning.
Yeah, you could totally. When it comes to blood, in very small amounts, it is if the blood is free from disease or pathogens or blah blah blah, it might not harm you. But beyond a few teaspoons of blood, when you drink it, it's actually quite toxic, and that's because blood, as most people might know, is mostly has iron in it, and that's why you get an irony taste when you taste blood, right?
Blah.
And the body has a difficulty excreting and taking care of iron. So when you have too much iron in your body, it's pretty hard for your body to take care of that.
So for you vampire wannabes, go find someone who's anemic.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, it's not only a human thing. Any animal really that consumes that much iron or drinks blood like that really just might be in risk of an iron overdose. Blood is obviously healthy for you because you have blood, but there's a difference between
Having it and eating it.
Yeah, having it and eating it. Like if you're getting a transfusion and getting more blood into your veins, it's very different than consuming blood, because when you put it straight to your veins, it goes straight to where it's used for. Versus if you drink or eat blood, it goes to your stomach. It doesn't really go to your veins, so it's not going to where it's supposed to go in that sense. So, we all know about blood transfusions and how that has helped the world, but obviously if you need a blood transfusion and you don't have an injection, drinking the blood will not do the same thing.
Right. That's what I always thought about vampires. I'm like, how
Yeah.
is drinking vampire blood gonna
Yeah.
turn you into a vampire? It should be a transfusion.
Yeah. Well, it might some blood might flow over through the holes of your body, but not a lot. I don't know.
Science.
Yeah.
We know how it works.
Exactly. We're scientists.
Right. Certified.
Consuming more than a few drops can actually make you feel nauseous or result in vomiting. As we mentioned, while iron is necessary, it does cause toxicity in high doses. In fact, there's a term for it, and as a medical scientist that I am, I will try to pronounce this. It's called hemochromatosis or hemochromatosis.
Hemo is blood-related
Yeah.
word.
Well, it's HAE, so I was like,
Okay.
I don't know.
Hemo?
I guess
I think it's hemo.
Yeah.
It's still hemo.
According to EA, it's still. Oh, it's not hemoglobin? So hemochromatosis can cause a variety of different problems in your body, including liver damage, fluid in your lungs, dehydration, low blood pressure, and nervous disorders. Which
Ironically, low blood pressure.
which all sound like what vampires look like. So,
They look like what I look like when I played WoW for 7 years
Yeah.
and stayed in my basement
so I guess if you want to look like a vampire, then do what vampires do.
and play WoW.
Yeah. Some say, in terms of, like, as we mentioned, clinical vampirism or consuming blood, some studies show that it could possibly cause schizophrenia and dissociative identity disorder.
Wow. Wait, that's pretty dire.
It is pretty dire. But I mean, again, some study, I don't know how much of this is really true, or how much of it is causal versus correlational. I don't know. The obsession with drinking blood, though, is referred to as the Renfield syndrome, which is named after R.M. Renfield from Bram Stoker's
Dracula.
He's an animal-eating inmate in a lunatic asylum who believes that blood is the source of life. Now, we did have, as we mentioned, Mike on the previous recording to talk more about this, but unfortunately he is hungover from his birthday, so so we can't really.
That's a
have
good
him to
reason.
that. Yeah, happy birthday, Mike.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, you can go check his show out at Geek Happy Network as well. They did a Dungeons and Dragons like Monster Slayer episode recently. It was pretty fun.
Oh, I want to play.
Yeah, it made me want to get into it. So now they play regularly.
And we don't have time.
Nope.
We barely have time to re-record this episode.
Although there is talks of like human blood that can treat conditions, but again, as we mentioned, usually it's not really the drinking part, but using transfusions that make it
Work.
That make it work exactly. So it has to go through an IV line straight into your veins and not drank.
Yeah, you don't want to turn that blood into poop. You just want the blood to be blood.
Exactly. Really, only vampire bats have right mechanisms in their body to digest blood. We don't really have it, so.
What about Count Chocula?
I don't know. It might be different. I think it's like blood chocolate.
He can only eat chocolate.
Yeah.
He'll die if you feed him anything else.
Yeah. Animal blood, on the other hand, can be high in nutritional value because it has iron and other nutrients in it. But as we mentioned, it's also like.
Wait, does that just mean humans are just useless? That we don't have?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Oh, cool. I believe it.
But it's similar to human blood. At the end of the day, it still can cause hemochromatosis. Animal blood is also prone to have bacteria and other diseases in it. So be careful when you consume animal blood as well. In fact, as a show, we suggest not to, even though we joke about
disclaimer.
Doing it.
Don't do it.
But onto the fun stuff. We found quite a bit of examples of different kinds of food that have blood in it from a very wide range of different countries, which is kind of cool. I think almost every country has their own version of blood food, which is cool.
I can't say that I've had many of them. I think I had one Korean sausage thing before.
Ooh.
And I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I thought it to be like a very bland sausage.
Right. Yeah, I feel like you need to mix blood with something else. Like, yeah, because in the Philippines, the Dinuguan thing it's blood and what else do they put in it? It's like vinegar and stuff. Yeah.
Gotta spice it.
Yeah, you gotta spice it up a little bit. It seems like I mean a big reason of why blood has become part of a food is it's because it's a big byproduct of killing an animal. When you kill an animal, there's blood, and you don't really want to just lay it out to waste.
Why not eat the crime scene?
Yeah, so it's common to have blood soups and blood stews, which use the blood as part of the broth. A lot of different countries do that. can also be used as a thickener in sauces, like a coq au vin in France. Or I think in Vietnam they have a thing called tiet can, which is a pudding-like thing. It could also help with providing flavor or color for the meat.
Color is probably the
Yeah.
biggest one.
Yeah. Blood is also used as a solid ingredient sometimes, so they let it congeal before using it and then cooking it to accelerate the process. So you could get like blood tofu, which is in a curry which you could use blood tofu, for example, that I think in China they have in a dish called Mao Shui Wang.
Don't
Yeah.
look at me.
So,
I don't know about this dish.
in Hungary, they can slaughter a pig in the morning and the blood is fried with onions and served for breakfast.
Oh, does it solidify?
Yeah, I guess so.
Huh. It's like a scramble.
Yeah, because when you fry blood, it'll like start dehydrating and all that effervescing.
I thought it would just turn into like flaky crust
Maybe.
and not like a solid mass unless you put something else
Yeah,
in
I don't
it,
know.
like breading.
It might
or,
absorb.
like,
I don't know. Onions wouldn't absorb the blood, so I guess not. Yeah, it might just be flaky.
flaky.
And in Korea, blood curd is typically made of cattle blood and often used in soups and stews, such as a thing they call hangover soup. Ooh,
Mike can use
Mike?
some of this right now.
Can someone please send Mike a Korean hangover soup? His address is
Yeah.
somewhere
No.
in Vancouver.
I don't even know where he lives.
Yeah. As you mentioned, Angel, blood sausage is a very common thing. By cooking the animal blood until it's thick enough to congeal when it's cooled. Pig and cattle blood is usually the most common one used. That happens all around the world as well, and called in different ways, obviously. In the USSR or the ex-USSR countries, they produce sweet bars, nutrition bars that have cattle blood, known under the generic name of hematogen.
That just does not sound appetizing.
Yeah, it was originally created to treat anemia, which is the lack of iron in your blood.
Yes.
But now they're actually used like regular sweets.
Uh.
So if anyone's
Ew.
from former USSR countries, can you please send us some of this? Because
Can you eBay this?
I tried.
Maybe Amazon. Oh, you tried?
No, I don't think I have. I mean, I feel like typing hematogen might get like haunted by vampire police or something.
I don't think it's safe to ship internationally.
No,
It's
I don't
probably
think so
gonna
either.
get stopped at customs.
Yeah.
They're like, what is this? Nothing?
I'm anemic.
It's my protein powder.
It's funny how it became a sweet
Sweet
candy treat for them. And anyway, weird. Among the Maasai people, drinking blood from cattle is part of their diet, so they'd kill the cattle and drink the blood right away, or sometimes used in special occasions as well. In Colombia, a dish called pepi torilla is made with rice cooked in goat blood, which sounds good. I mean, like red rice. You don't like rice.
I don't like rice.
Speaking of
And
rice.
I don't think I like blood either.
How was your? I heard from the grapevine that you've had to try.
I was
some
forced
rice.
to eat rice. Well, I smothered it in a lot of curry to try and
I heard-
distract.
Didn't work.
But I could taste every single grain and it was awful.
It was basmati rice.
It was basmati
They-
rice.
they-
Like
they
it smells
gave you the
good.
grainiest of rice. to
Yeah,
try,
and it was loosey goosey. I don't know. I can't describe the dislike I have for that texture
Right.
in my mouth.
It's like little ants crawling in your mouth.
Yes, and like I don't know, something about grains
Yeah.
and starch
Yeah.
just tastes bad
Yeah.
to me.
So you've
But,
heard
like-
it here for anyone who's of Asian descent. Angel is the first Asian who does not eat rice.
Well, Daryl, the person who made me eat the rice, he gave me a nice new nickname, Basic White Bitch. So,
Yeah.
yes, I'm your resident Basic White Bitch.
Speaking of basic white bitches, in Scotland,
Great transition there.
one of the most, I guess, I'd say it's one of the most popularly known Scottish dishes, haggis.
Haggis.
Yeah. Is actually another dish that's made out of blood. It's usually blood is usually put to the haggis to make it darker, but also to thicken the haggis a little bit. I've never actually had haggis.
I don't
Sounds
know where we
disgusting.
can get it here. I don't think it's readily available.
I don't think there's a lot of Scottish bars here. So yeah.
There's a lot of Irish pubs
Yeah.
that are not actually really Irish.
No.
And then we have like British import stores, but I've not seen haggis there.
No, I haven't either. In Italy, there's a thing called sanguinaccio. Sanguinaccio dolce.
Okay, just pretend you're Mario. It's a me.
Sanguinaccio dolce. Okay, that's just racist. Sanguinaccio dolce, which I guess sanguine is blood.
Blood,
And some
dolce
I think in
is-
Latin, yeah. Dolce is milk, I think. So they have a pudding that's called that. It's made of pig blood, chocolate, sugar, pine nuts, raisins, and milk.
Okay, that sounds good.
Except
I
the
would eat
raisins
that.
part.
I
hate
like
raisins.
the pudding.
Yeah.
We
Maybe I'll have that. I'll have that without the raisins. I think. No.
You have a raisin aversion.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about grapes?
I love grapes.
Just not raisins.
I used to try to fit as many grapes in my mouth as possible. I hit 63 ones.
What kind of grapes are we
Just
talking
regular
about?
grapes.
63?
Yeah.
How's that possible?
My cheeks expand like a chipmunk. Duh.
Wait, can we do a video episode of Mick
Sure.
shoving grapes into his mouth?
I feel like we owe all 3 of our listeners a ton of video episodes.
Yeah, Phil, this is for you.
Now. Yeah, Phil. If you're missing your grapes in your crafty table,
It's in Mick's face.
Anyway, yeah, then we figured we'd try to go a little bit deeper with some other specific blood dishes. One of it, what I found most interesting was blood popsicles. It's a blood popsicles, in large part from Taiwanese cuisine. Since Taiwanese cuisine is known for its street food culture, I've never been to Taiwan, but I heard the carts and stalls of like different food all around is a big thing in Taiwan, which allows for a lot of things that you eat by hand and while walking rather than sitting down. So one of it that came out is this pig's blood cake, which is
My dad's favorite when I was a kid.
really.
Yes.
Oh. So have you tried it?
I have not tried it because every time I've seen it, it just didn't look like anything I want to eat.
So it doesn't look appetizing.
It doesn't look appetizing to me.
Right.
But maybe like if you actually like it,
Yeah.
it might stir your appetite.
Right.
But there used to be, when I used to live there are street vendors with the little carts,
Mm-hmm.
and they would just push it around like a park or whatever.
Right.
And they would sell you blood pops. It's like rectangular. It comes out in a stick. And it comes out of like this pit, which I've never really looked into it.
Right.
But it just looks like it's a tub of blood, and then they just pull this thing out, and and you
Ooh.
eat it.
Interesting.
It's not a freezer, it's warm.
Right. Is it like, so it comes out like sticky and wet?
Yeah.
Oh.
From my memory.
So sticky and wet
And I'm
blood
old.
cake.
So I don't know how accurate this memory is, but I do remember
Right.
my dad buying blood cakes from vendors, and it comes out on a stick, and it looks dank. And it looks like nothing I want to touch.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, so apparently it is a long-standing tradition in Taiwan, dish in Taiwan, made out of pork blood, sticky rice, and soy broth. Usually it's either fried or steamed and can be coated in peanut flour.
I've never seen it with peanut, maybe.
Fujian.
Fujian.
It came from Fujian to Taiwan, and can be cooked in a hot pot sometimes, and served hot. Like you mentioned, it is served hot in street vendors and kept warm in a wooden or metal box.
Yes, it's a metal box used most of the time, and I just remember it's steamy,
Right.
and it just looked gross.
Yeah, I saw some pictures of it. It definitely didn't look appetizing, but it didn't. It looked appetizing enough that I would try it.
Just for the experience.
Yeah, might be good. I don't know. It is sweet.
It could
though,
be
from
good.
what I've
I don't
been
know.
Told it is pretty sweet.
Oh, see, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Because every time he's like, "You want some?" I'm like, "No, I hate you."
You can also choose to either add chili paste on it as well.
Oh well, chili paste just makes everything better.
Yeah. Funnily enough, apparently some say it can carry health benefits that protect people against effects of smog in Taiwan. So I guess that's the pull to it. Be like, hey, try this
That sounds like a folklore to me.
blood cake. It'll cure you.
It will
from
filter out
smog
the
cough.
smog particles.
Yeah.
It is pretty smoggy there, from what I remember.
So they suggest maybe not taking more than 2 portions a week, but I'm assuming if your dad loves this, he'll eat it every day.
Oh, he was like, every time we went out,
Right.
every time he saw a vendor, he would like chase it down.
Huh.
And he would buy 2 at a time. So,
Oh, geez.
you know.
Okay, yeah, there you go. Here's your weekly
Blood
quota
dose.
in a day. The pork soy broth that comes with it is usually sweet with an umami flavor. Then you roll in the peanut flour with some cilantro or hot sauce. That might be in some areas of Taiwan, while in your area it'd be different. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I never saw the peanut. Maybe he didn't like the peanut. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe not. It's known to be meaty, nutty with herbal flavors.
See, that sounds good until you realize what it looks like. Yuck.
In the Huaxi night market in Taipei, they also sell shots of snake blood, speaking of blood, including cobra blood. I once tried snake wine from Cambodia, I think it was.
Is it like pickled snake? Like, do they just
There was just
put
a
a bit of
snake
snake in a jar?
and then fermented on something. It tasted like mud, or what you'd imagine snake skin to taste like when it sheds it.
I don't know what I imagine it to taste like. I actually don't think about that.
Yeah, I wish I could tell you how it felt like, but I honestly don't remember.
Was there
what
a texture?
happened. No, it was just taking a shot. Yeah,
okay.
It was this little jar with a snake inside, a cobra inside, and we tried it. And well, my cousin and I were like 2 bottles of Jack Daniels in when we had this. So
everything tastes spicy
that
at
just
this
knocked
point.
us out. And in the morning, we just woke up and be like, "Why do I taste like frog?" Like, that's right. There's a snake.
We drank snake juice.
Moving on to another dish from the Philippines this time, as we mentioned, called dinuguan, which translates to English as dugo is blood. So usually to say dinuguan, if you turn it into a vowel, if you turn blood into a vowel, dinuguan is what the word comes out to, and it means to be stewed with blood or to be bled on, really, like is how it would kind of translate to. This dish is made of pig's blood seasoned usually with chili and traditionally eaten with steamed rice. So this one is a little bit like vinegary. If anyone has tried adobo, it would be like blood with adobo, I guess is what I
love
would try
adobo.
to remember it tasting like.
Yum.
Yeah, because they usually stir fry it in blood, then you put the meat in, then with vinegar, and then you add some chili in it.
So a lot of blood-based things seem to go with rice or something that would soak it up.
Yeah, because it's nice and saucy, so you want to have it absorbed and all that. There's also some places in the Philippines that would have crispy dinuguan, so it would be not as soupy, because most dinuguans are usually pretty stewy or soupy. And it can also be known as dinagdagan. Anyway, which is, I guess, a variant of dinuguan, which is a little bit more thicker.
I'd be down with the crispy. I would try it if it's crispy.
Yeah. I've actually never tried it. You could also, with the dinagdagan, it's the sauce itself is actually really nice and vinegary, so it usually goes well with chicharron, which is deep fried
pork rinds.
Pork rinds. Or you could also have it with puto, which is a Filipino rice dessert. Kind of.
Can you put blood in your halo halo?
I wouldn't recommend it, but do you.
Like maybe that instead of the red beans, which
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of.
It's said that as everything that seems strange, the natural history of using dinuguan came from just Filipinos not wanting to waste food. I think that's for every person back then.
Yeah, food.
It's also
meat is hard to come by. Animal
Yeah,
products
exactly.
is expensive.
Yeah. And back during the colonial periods of the Spanish rule,
They ate boots. They ate twigs.
Yeah.
Why not eat blood?
Exactly. So yeah, back then the Spanish colonial time, it has been said that they probably made this dish because they didn't have meat cuts available to them, and the Spaniards wouldn't eat the blood, so they might as well eat the blood.
Dirty
Hooray!
Spanish.
Another colonial story.
Taking all the good bits.
Exactly. It's also a big part of another reason why possibly how dinuguan came to be is when you roast the pig for a feast, you usually have to collect the blood out before cooking the pig, so then that blood eventually became a meal.
So what happens if you roast the pig without taking the blood out?
I guess, I don't know actually. I think it like coats the inside of the pig and makes it darker colored or something. It's like when you have chicken that starts bleeding out, and then your chicken has like black spots on the meat.
Oh, is that what it is?
So it's
I mean,
usually
I
because
don't
the
know.
blood starts seeping out, or it's been out for a while. Blood soup, as Dinuguan usually kind of is. It's more of a stew than a soup, but apparently in ancient Greece there were also blood soups. So Spartans would have melas zomos, or black soup, which is boiled pig's blood, pork, and vinegar, which sounds very similar.
Very similar, yeah.
Yeah. A fritada in Spanish from Spain
Blood frittata.
has something similar as well. In Guam, a fritada is a blood stew. More of a blood stew than a fried dish. It's made of chopped up internal organs of pigs or cattle or deer, cooked in fat with blood, onions, vinegar, and spices. So again, very similar.
I thought you said frittata as in like the quiche-less
No.
like omelet thing.
This one's
The big
fritada.
frittata.
Yeah, so da versus ta. Da ta.
Blood frittata would be
Yeah.
interesting. You have it's like red velvet frittata.
Yeah. Ooh, yeah. Speaking of things, they're moving on to other things. Is blood pancakes or blood platar.
Oh yes, this is the one I want to try.
Yeah, so this is encountered in Galatia, Scandinavia, or the Baltic, and in Swedish it's called blood platar. It has the 2 I dots in the A. So how do I pronounce that?
Blood. That's the sound.
So blood platar.
Yeah.
Oh, I can speak of Swedish.
Oh yes.
In Finnish,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
called veriohukainen. In Estonian, it's very pankugid. Sure.
Sure.
I saw the
We'll go with that.
panku, so I guess that's the pancake part.
Pancake.
Yeah. This one uses pig's blood as well. It's whipped up to give it a thick consistency, then mixed in with flour, molasses, onion, and other spices. So it sounds like it's sweet and spicy at the same time. Unless we're talking about white spices, so it's just
Mayonnaise?
mayonnaise and pepper and salt. I hope not.
I mean,
So the finished product is a very iron-rich pancake served with fruit jam.
I
or
remember
rolled
looking
into a
up
crepe.
pictures of these, and they're just like very dark brown pancakes.
Yeah, that's what I assumed it would
Yeah.
look like. It'd just be a dark pancake.
Dark pancake.
It's
I'm
like you make
into
a
it. I
chocolate
wanna try
pancake.
it. Oh, I actually asked my friend if he's ever had it.
Yeah.
Swedish friend. He's like, that's disgusting. Why would I eat that? So there's that from a
Well,
Swedish person.
Apparently, it's a Swedish thing. It's also usually mixed with lingonberry jam.
Delicious.
Mm-hmm.
Buy it at IKEA. Also build some shelves. Organize. Been watching a lot of hoarders, so that's where that's coming from. So
Yeah.
yes, I would have some blood pancake while I'm building a shelf.
And organizing life.
Yep.
Kaboom. It's similar to black pudding, but thinner and crispier is kind of how you think about it. Blood platar is fried, can also be fried in a frying pan, or just fried, period. And can also be served with pork or reindeer meat. So it's a mixture of, you could have it sweet, you could have
Or
it savory.
So
I mean,
versatile.
Yeah, the pancake itself sounds it's both sweet and savory, so I guess that's why it works.
Kind of
both
like a
ways.
crepe, but
Yeah.
with blood.
Yeah, some say you could actually roll it out like a crepe. So blood platar or plutar.
Ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta.
It's a Christmas dish now.
Yes.
And moving
So
on.
wait, okay.
Oh,
So
yeah.
if I want to buy some blood to make some blood pancakes,
That's a good question.
where do you suppose I can get like a? I don't even know how much blood you need.
Probably
like a
butcher.
gallon.
Yeah, you just go to a butcher and be like, "Hey,
You got some blood.
get some blood."
There
Foodie
is-
World?
Foodie World has.
Oh yeah,
blood.
Foodie World sells blood. Some like
Oh.
most Asian places will sell blood because it's a pretty common dish in a lot of Asian cuisines.
All right.
Yeah.
I guess the next challenge is making some blood pancakes.
Yeah. Thank you,
Who's
Colin and
in?
Nia.
Who's in? Who wants some blood pancakes that I make?
Colin's not a fan apparently.
No, I don't think anyone. When
Yeah.
I'm like, anybody in? Everybody looked away.
Maybe we could make it a ritualistic festival or some sort, like in Nepal.
Halloween's coming up.
Yeah, see that transition?
You're all about the transitions today.
In the highlands of Nepal, apparently there are Nepalese monks who drink blood from the veins of yaks before releasing them alive. So they don't kill the yaks. They kind of just
bleed them a little bit.
Yeah, let it
So
bleed
they're a
and
little
they
bit
drink-
lightheaded
Yeah.
and they wander away and fall down a cliff.
yeah. Yeah.
That just sounds mean, dude.
Speaking of that, traditionally these monks don't eat meat.
Oh,
because
right.
they don't believe in killing animals. But if an animal just so happened to die because you drained the blood from them, then it's fair game.
Oh.
So if I was a Nepalese monk and I really wanted meat, I'd be like, whoopsie.
Oops. I accidentally
cut
shivved
the
this
seed.
fucker right here.
This yak's been cut a little too much.
It's like, I don't know what happened. I was just holding out my
yeah.
knife and he ran right into it.
Yeah, I think he wanted to die, I guess. I don't know. It wasn't me.
Okay, so if you like cut a chunk out of an animal while it's still alive and it survives, then it's cool.
Yeah, well, if it survives, you can't eat it. But if it just happens to die by accident,
Okay.
like when you drain too much blood and it decides to get woozy and falls off a cliff and die,
You're at the bottom ready to catch it.
then you could eat it
with your salt and pepper shaker.
Yeah. So I don't know much about this festival, but from what I've seen is they cut the little bit of the neck vein of the yak to just drain a little bit of blood from it, and then they drink it while it's still hot. Then they let the animals go on its own own thing. So they usually have a way to cut it so they don't kill the animal. Traditionally, like we said, they have to drink it raw while hot. But in some regions of Nepal, gyuma is a blood sausage. It's a popularly commonly eaten dish.
Is it also yak blood?
Yes, it's made out of yak's blood and meat. It could also include some buckwheat and other spices. It could be prepared with some lentils as well, or used in stir-fried dishes. The people of Nawari also have a dish called hee, Hee, which means just blood. It's prepared by steaming the blood with some spices, so it sounds like it's just a soup of sorts.
Soup stew.
Like we mentioned, there's a blood festival in Nepal to honor the god Himai, which they drink the blood from slaughtered animals. The tradition dates back to a priest about 250 years ago in a dream that spilled blood would encourage god Himai, the goddess of Hindu power, to free him from prison. That festival is a sacrificial ceremony held every 5 years, apparently, in the Bara district, which is a few hundred miles away, or 100 miles south of Kathmandu, the capital of Nepal. It's estimated that there's tons of animals, like 50,000 animals sacrificed during the festival.
That's a lot.
Which they believe is, like we said, will help end evil and bring prosperity. Maybe in Nepal.
Sounds pretty evil to me.
Yeah, so there's been like a big controversy about it where, PETA and some other people who have no purpose of being involved in that culture have tried to stop this. So I think they've tried to work out ways to not sacrifice that many animals, but of course while trying to be respectful of that culture as well.
Right. So
is what I'd like to believe.
What kind of animals are we talking about?
It's different kinds. I guess whatever they can get, from chickens to like goats to whatever. From what I've read.
Because that's
I'm
a lot.
Sure. I'm pretty sure it's not 50,000 yaks.
Okay. Yeah, because that's like all the yaks.
Yeah. So that's kind of a little bit about food and ritual, or food and stuff about blood. There are also some myths and mythologies of blood being used as food. As we talked about in the Transmorgasbord.
We're in a Christmas mood. It's only September.
Why do we keep saying transmorg? Isn't it like trans?
It's okay.
Trans.
Wow, I've been playing WoW too much.
Yeah, thank you.
Transmorgification.
Transubstantiation. That's the word.
God, why are we people?
We're not nerds. As we mentioned in the transubstantiation episode, the Catholic Church and some other variations of the Christian religion believe that the sacrament of the Eucharist, and that sacrament involves the belief that
blood wine.
So the real body and blood that bread and wine
is the body
turn
and blood.
into the real body and blood of Jesus. If you listen to our episode, they kind of do a logical cheat about that.
Yes.
Where they just change the... Anyway, go listen to that episode. It'll take us hours to explain it again. And like we mentioned, in Nepal, they have that whole belief of the whole blood being a way to release the evil from the world. There's also this belief of like the Kumaris, which is... Actually, this one is... Anyway, the Kumaris, which are goddesses that are believed to be, or they're prepubescent girls who are believed to be a reincarnation of the Hindu goddess Durga. So these Kumaras are the prepubescent girls, and they're usually treated as gods. They're usually between 3 to 6 years of age, and they're confined inside a temple, where they're treated like they're gods. Usually it's only the relatives and the teacher that can talk to them, as they're not allowed to touch the ground with their feet as well. But
For 3 years?
Yeah. In
They
this...
can't touch the ground?
Something like that, yeah.
Imagine, like, touching the ground for the first time after that.
Right?
You're
Yeah.
like, ooh, gravity. Ouch.
But apparently in the Nepalese culture, menstrual blood is also seen as something polluted and not divine. So once these Kumaris go through their first period, I guess, that means that they've stepped down from being a god to becoming human.
Wow, yes.
So then
There's
they
something
stop being
vaguely
treated like a god.
pedophilic about this.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing sexual about all of it. It's just a whole bit about menstrual blood being not
pure.
pure.
Yeah, well,
It's
you
just...
know what? Without it, you all would not be born.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that's really all we found for like myths and mythologies. I was hoping there'd be some like
Grand conspiracy, culty,
that wasn't
Good.
vampiric related, but yeah,
Right.
not really much. I'm sure
something
there.
magical.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like there are a lot of rituals about blood, but like when it involves consuming blood,
Not really.
yeah, nothing really cool. Unless I wasn't looking in the right corners. There's some cultures though that are kind of averse to eating blood. So in Abrahamic religions like Jewish and Muslim cultures, they usually forbid the consumption of blood. In Islam, it's in their Quran that they say that it's against their belief. In Christian religions, in the New Testament, it's in the Bible as well that it was forbidden by apostolic decree. And it's in the Greek Orthodox Church, it's also very forbidden. Which is weird because they consume the body and blood of Jesus.
But that's like divine blood, right? Not your
Sure,
regular peasant goat blood.
Yeah, totally.
It's more holy than yak blood.
Yeah, sure. I don't know. Yak blood seems pretty holy.
I think yaks are just really cool as animals.
Yeah, exactly. In the Old Testament, there's a passage that says, "And if anyone of the house of Israel partakes of any blood, I will set my face against the person who partakes of the blood, and I will cut him off among his kin."
Ooh,
So yeah, I think
it's rough.
Jewish
punishment.
and Christian cultures are pretty...
Unless you
screwed
just
if they
really
have
hate
blood.
your family.
Yeah.
And you're like, God, is there anything I can do to get them away from me?
Yeah.
Drink some blood.
Which is also weird because the Philippines is so Christian, but yet the Bible says they
Right.
get cut off. Like, anyway,
It's a selective interpretation.
true that. Yeah, so that's kind of a little bit about that. In the Igbo ethnic group, or the Igbo tribe, the Igbo group in Nigeria, they have no explicit prohibitions against blood, but most regard it as disgusting and refuse to eat any meat perceived as bloody or undercooked. So
That's me.
yeah. So usually when they kill animals like goats or cattle, they'll slice them across the neck and drain the blood as fast or slowly out before they cook it. This practice may have been influenced by Judaism or Jewish culture, as there is a fairly prominent Jewish community in Nigeria amongst
Really?
the Igbo group, which predates the contact with Europe. Taboos may also be related, again, as we mentioned, because health-wise it's, not really good for you to have this much blood, so having blood seen as poisonous because of that may also create this taboo against consuming blood.
Of course, there's taboo lovers that are like, ooh, you don't want me to have this? Watch me.
Yeah,
And they
right.
drink an entire cow, and then they just die.
They die. Exactly. As we mentioned, we wanted Mike to come and talk to us a little bit in their segment of their podcast, The Monster Slayer's Guide. They have a bit about talking about pop culture references of the different monsters that they discuss and have slaughtered. But we don't have him here today, so we don't really have much about it. Obviously, vampires are a big part that have blood revolving around them. And I
can't
believe,
think of anything else.
yeah, but go check out their podcast. They do have an episode about vampires, including 80s vampires from 80s films.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I think the biggest question, though, as we talked about when it comes to us and food, is it actually good? Is blood a good tasting piece of food? When it comes to cooking, blood is usually used, as we mentioned, as a thickening agent to help make thicker sauces and all that for the food. It also makes a good replacement for eggs when cooking, as used as a binding agent, because as we mentioned, you could whip up blood to make it thick and then foam it up a little bit, which is really good for things like pancakes.
Oh yeah. It's got such a weird consistency and quality.
Yeah.
That I don't think anything else can really imitate it.
No.
If you like that sticky, solid but not quite solid,
Yeah.
very metallic
Yeah.
taste.
Sticky metal.
Sticky metal.
Name of our punk band. Pig's blood is typically typically known to be sweeter and lighter compared to beef that can be known more as gamey and gelatinous. While chicken blood is, salmonella. Blood that gives
Tastes like bacteria.
Exactly. Yeah. Maybe that's the one drawback of chicken.
Right.
The holy chicken.
You should not eat any part of a chicken
Yeah.
unless it's deep fried.
Blood is, like we mentioned, pardon us for the planes, we record right by the airport today. So, anyway.
We set that up
Yeah.
purposely, on
Exactly.
purpose.
Blood gives you that richness that you could get without being too heavy. I think by richness he means the metallic flavor, and it could possibly be healthier than butter, but I mean that's very relative because it also is
it's
full
made
of iron.
of completely different things.
Yeah.
So
Like too much butter
can
will give you a
clog
heart
your-
attack,
yeah.
and too much blood will just make you hemio whatever. Chromatosis.
Yes.
Yeah. The best quality blood is a deep, almost black color, because usually bright red blood usually means it's been oxidized already. And as we mentioned before, raw blood on its own doesn't usually taste good, but it is really used in combination with a bunch of different things.
Yes, whenever you mention stuff with like spices and stuff,
Yeah.
I'm like, that sounds all right.
Yeah, right?
Just by itself?
Not really. In the Nordic Food Lab, they've apparently started experimenting with pig's blood macaroons with blue cheese in the middle.
Oh.
You could also use blood for meringue, so you could have meringue without eggs by using blood. In terms of flavor, most people are more used to the taste of blood than you may think. So if you've never tried blood, trying blood might remind you of certain things already.
You constantly bite your tongue and bleed.
Yeah, exactly.
And talk like that.
Yeah. Stuff of that. The blood of our lover.
Hey, I've had a dentist drill into the back of my tongue once. But that's because I was a little brat and I wouldn't stop talking
Right.
while he was trying to work on my wonk-ass teeth.
What's painful? Ooh.
Yeah, and then it just went zzz, and then there was a lot of blood. So, yes,
Ooh.
I know what that tastes like.
Yeah. I once cut my tongue in half because I
what?
fell down in basketball and I landed my chin on somebody's knee.
Oh,
And it
yikes.
split my tongue in half.
Yikes. Wait, do you have a snake tongue?
I don't. But you could see there like cuts in my tongue. It's from
Ooh,
that.
Yikes.
So yeah, I tasted blood for a whole 2 weeks. That was great.
Never again.
Yeah. But I mean, at the end of the day, like everything in food, it's all
You
about
should have put
perception.
some spices into your mouth and just
true.
swished it around.
Just like pour vinegar in my mouth, put like a pepper in it.
One whole peppercorn.
Yep. That's it. And maybe some mayo, make it extra spicy.
Oh, yes. So spicy.
Yeah. Yeah. But when it comes to flavor, again, it's all relative. If you like blood, then you like blood. If you don't, then try it out a few times. And if you still don't like it by then, you know.
It's not your jams.
Yeah. Lingonberry, though.
Oh, yeah.
That's your jams.
That is my jams.
Anyway, that's all we have for blood.
What are we eating this week?
What am I eating today? I've had so much sushi this week.
Ooh.
Because after we'd wrap out at work at like 8:30 and I'd just go to Matsuyama and get
just load it up.
yeah, BC roll and a crispy, crunchy, spicy
all
crunchy
of those
roll.
words.
Yeah. Which is just like crunchy stuff with spicy sauce on a roll.
And no blood involved.
No blood.
All right. What
Yeah.
about? Well, I had Indian food with
That's right.
rice this
Yeah.
week. Also, I ate something right before we started recording. I ate something called Sweet Chaos.
Is it good?
It was
Pretty good,
It's
right?
not very chaotic, but it was really good.
Yeah.
It's just popcorn pretzels covered in caramel.
Sweet stuff.
Sweet stuff.
Maybe that's a sweet chaos. It's just sweet stuff.
Sweet. I wouldn't call it chaos. I call it pacifistic snack mix.
Wow. Snacks for the pacifists.
Yes.
That's a little bit different from sweet chaos. Yeah. What are we gonna do for the next episode?
Well,
Oh, what were you talking about?
cereal.
Cereal. That's right. Why are there no female cereal characters?
Exactly.
That might be like a 2-minute episode, but
I don't know. We can also go into the history of cereal
Ooh, yeah.
and why it has become a breakfast food, even though I don't know nutritionally.
Yeah.
Not sure that it's all there. It's mostly sugar.
That's true. We could talk about the lack of nutrition and women in cereal.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, we're not getting political at all. Anyway, thanks for listening today.
Thank you. Of us recording this is Smorgasbord.
Yeah. Is it on 3 or?
2, 3. This is Smorgasbord.
Okay, after 3.
Yes.
Okay.
This is Smorgasbord. Hey, that was
right?
pretty good.
Did I say it right?
Yeah, that's it.
That's pretty right.
We can keep that. Have a food-related ritual, myth, or something strange you want us to explore? Send us a message through Facebook at Geek Happy Network. We'd love to hear from our fellow foodie listeners. And while you're there, remember to subscribe or follow us too. This show was created by Angel Lynn and Mick Narciso, hosted by Angel Lynn and Mick Narciso, editing by Mick, and logo by Angel. Thanks for listening. For more GHN shows like the Monster Slayer's Guide to Slaying Monsters, come give us a listen at geekhappynetwork.com or look for us on your favorite podcast app. Oh, and be sure to follow us on Facebook or Instagram at Geek Happy Network.